All right, welcome back to Rare Photos. I did promise y'all I was going to read you some more of the June Waniko book, The Twilight of Memory, and talk about it. Turn this one of these lights down maybe a little bit. That's too much. Let's see how that works. Maybe a little bit better. Anyhow, y'all, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the super thanks. Thank you for all the views that you guys continue to watch, the sharing on your Facebook pages, and to the other Facebook Elvis groups. I really need to start sharing these videos to my my Facebook page. There's so much going on in life. If I was like a full-time YouTuber and that's all I did, it makes some sense. But when you're working 60-hour weeks and then trying to read and trying to edit and more importantly, have family time and make sure it's all quality and that I spend time with my wife and my children. It's just difficult to try to make it all happen. But yeah, and you've probably recently seen the Anne Margaret book, which I started putting on the Elvis and the Legends channel, but the subscribership is still too kind of low to get the kind of views, and I really want her story out there. So you'll see it here. And then maybe eventually I will reread it and put it over there. So if you're interested in the in me singing any Elvis tribute songs and some of the other legends of Elvis around Elvis Presley, go subscribe. It's youtube.com/ that / at Elvis and the Legends. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. But let's get reading. So we just finished the chapter, Are You Lonesome Tonight? And now we are kicking our feet up here. We are reading Be My Girl. Okay? Chapter 8. The two-lane highway, divided by a broken white line, appeared to be much too narrow for the Eldorado. The white line was putting Elvis in a hypnotic trance. An occasional double yellow line, signifying a hill or school bus loading zone, would break the spell. Passing through farmland, we could see parallel rows of corn and other vegetables that seemed to go on forever. Every ranch had a different style fence, bordering acres and acres of land. Now each one had a different name posted above the driveway's main entrance, which led to beautiful, sprawling ranch-style homes. This is the way to live, Elvis exclaimed, admiring the vast openness, and I had to agree with him. One of the ranches was named the Circle J, and I called it mine. For miles and miles, we searched for a ranch with the letters E or P, never finding one. I guess I'll just have to buy one of my own, huh, June? It'd be nice to have a ranch with horses and cows and chickens, he said, daydreaming. Yeah, and lots of chicken shit, too, I laughed and said. What do you know about chicken shit, June? I thought you were a city girl. I am a city girl, but I know all about chicken poop. My grandfather raised chickens when I was a little girl, and I used to help him gather eggs. The first time I followed him inside the chicken yard barefoot, I learned all about chicken poop real fast. He had to come get me out of the middle of the yard. I was crying, afraid to move, with chicken poop between every toe. Well, you won't have to worry, baby. When we have our own ranch, I'll gather all the eggs. How many kids you want, June? Well, I don't know, maybe 4? 2 boys and 2 girls? Does anybody know how many children June had? Maybe someday we'll get married and live on a ranch. We'll raise horses and cows and a house full of kids. How's that sound to you, June? Sounds good to me. Especially the part where you traded the chickens for the kids. Both of us were laughing. Elvis started singing a song. It seemed everything reminded us of a song. We'll build a nest somewhere out in the west and let the rest of the world go by. Now, I don't know how that song goes, or I would have sang it. The gas stations were few and far between. Even though we still had gas, Elvis decided we'd better get some more while we could. So we pulled into a service station, and I immediately ran to find the ladies' room. The station had only one restroom with a big sign on the door white only. I was washing my hands when Elvis knocked on the door. June, you want a Coke? Room service, hurry up, it's my turn. I gotta go. He wasn't kidding either. When I opened the door, he handed me the 2 Cokes and ran in as fast as he could. Well, I went back and waited in the car. I noticed the station attendant talking on the payphone mounted on the back wall of the station. He kept turning to look at the car through the window. I had no problem reading his lips when he said the name Elvis Presley. Elvis finally came out of the restroom and went inside to pay for the gas. The attendant quickly hung up the phone and ran behind the counter. Well, I could see Elvis smiling and nodding his head as he gave the man a handshake. Before he could get to the car, several pickup trucks and a few cars were driving into the station. How did that happen? He must have been talking for about 5 minutes inside the station. Well, that's pretty quick, because it's not like cell phones, texting. You called one person. Maybe that's pretty funny. The attendant had made a few calls and the word was out. It was a gathering of teenage boys and girls, all nice kids. Now, it was funny how girls always behaved better when the boys were around. Well, Elvis was signing autographs. More trucks and cars pulled in. When we left the station, we had a motorcade of trucks and cars following behind. Now, they gradually fell away, one by one, as we drove away from the quaint rural town. Further down the road, we passed a big, beautiful pond in the middle of nowhere. It was so picturesque, Elvis decided to turn and go back. Now, we sat in the car admiring the scenery, and then we decided, why not? We climbed to the fence and walked to the water's edge. Under a stately oak tree, in the tranquil surroundings, we found the perfect place to sit. We talked about his being easily recognized and not having any privacy, and I wondered if it would ever be any different. He took my hand, pulled me to my feet, and held me close. "Be my girl, June," he said out of the blue. "Okay, Elvis, I'll be your girl. Will you be my boy?" "You don't understand, June. I want you to be all mine, not anyone else's." "You mean you don't want me to go out with anyone else?" That's exactly what I mean." "Okay, Elvis, I won't go out with any other boys, if you don't go out with any other girls." "I can't be with you all the time, June. I have a busy schedule to contend with. It was hectic enough with the concerts and television appearances. But now I'll be doing movies too, and my time is not my own. But when I do have time off, I want to spend it with you and nobody else." He was making promises that would soon prove impossible to keep. He took my face in his hands, kissed my forehead, my nose, and my mouth, the same way he did the first time we met, always saving my mouth for last. "I love you so much, June Juanico." His voice sounded so sincere. "I love you, Elvis Presley," I said, meaning it with all my heart. Well, we walked back hand in hand to the fence, climbing through, and continued our long drive to Memphis. Now, I love this story, and I know she kept a journal. I just want to keep reminding everybody, there's so many similarities between this book and Are You Lonesome Tonight? And Are You Lonesome Tonight came out a decade earlier. Is it, once again, this is in no way to lower June. We know June had a relationship with Elvis. We know that. And I believe that Elvis loved a lot of women. But doesn't it seem very similar and familiar? Not that she would have copied anything that Are You Lonesome Tonight had, but truly 10 years before, if Dario Matera made this all up, he sure made it up perfect, didn't he? Because that sounds exactly like Elvis. He didn't want her, he didn't want Lucy to be with anybody else, and anyways. So let's go here. Elvis was so easy to be with. I felt as though I'd known him for a long time. He said he felt the same way about me. So we took turns trying to find a radio station without a lot of static. That's hard to do. I mean, it was hard to do in the 80s and 90s. Being in the middle of the boonies didn't help matters. Now, it looked like rain up ahead, so we pulled over to the side of the road, put the top up. Now, lucky thing too, because within a matter of minutes, the whole sky had opened up on us. It was raining so hard, Elvis couldn't see where we were going, so we pulled over and parked on the side of the road and waited for the rain to ease up. Now, we made ourselves as comfortable as possible on that front seat of the car and smooched until all the windows were fogged. The heavy rain lasted about 30 minutes, and I loved every romantic minute. As soon as the windshield was clear, both inside and out, we saw a beautiful Texas-sized rainbow. Elvis sang, "Somewhere over the rainbow." I don't know how he would have sang that, because, he was young. Somewhere over the rainbow. No, he would have sang it beautiful. He would have sang it all beautiful and high and sweet and serene. Not like the 1970s where it would have been kind of operatic, Man, why don't we have a recording of Elvis singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow"? Skies are blue, somewhere over the rainbow. I don't even know the song good enough. But it's hard to sing a song. It's hard for me to emulate Elvisisms when I've never heard Elvis sing a song like that. Billy Stanley said, "Hey, Joe, you need to sing To All the Girls I Loved Before, like Elvis." And I did. Now, I think I had it on. I don't think I've loaded it on the channel yet, on the Elvis and the Legends. But it's so hard, It's so hard to sing it even in the style of Elvis, unless you've heard it. So Elvis sang "Over the Rainbow" like I'd never heard it sung before, June said. But his voice sounded much better than it ever did on the records. I applauded when he finished the song. "You like that song, June?" "It's not the song," June said. "It's your voice. It's so rich and smooth and powerful. It gives me goosebumps. Maybe someday someone will write some music for you that you can really sink your teeth into. The songs you're doing are good, but they don't show off your talent, your real talent." Maybe it's not the songs, June. Maybe it's me. Maybe I should change my style. Now, I'm not talking about your style, Elvis. I'm talking about your beautiful voice. I want everyone to hear you sing like you sing for me. No one has really heard you sing. Not yet, anyways. Well, the next recording session I have, I think I'll play around with some different arrangements and see what they think. Good idea, I agreed. Well, he sang "Over the Rainbow" again. After he'd finished, I showed him the goosebumps and the hair sticking straight up on my arm. "That good, huh?" "Yeah, that good," I said, rubbing my arms. Now, a light drizzle of rain stayed with us off and on until we got to Memphis. Elvis knew his mother was going to be a nervous wreck when we got home. She worried about him driving in the rain. Well, he tooted the horn. Toot, toot. Sorry, had to do that. When we turned into the driveway, and Mrs. Presley ran out of the house and hugged him like he'd been gone for weeks. Mrs. Presley had her priorities in order. She was so happy to see Elvis that she forgot to look at the new car. "Thank you, Lord. Thank the Lord, you're home. It's been raining here all day," she said with relief, her arms still tight around Elvis. "Don't worry, Mama. You got to have the rain in order to have a rainbow, right? Ain't that right, June?" he said, leaning down and kissing me in front of his mother. Well, we walked arm in arm straight to the kitchen. We hadn't eaten anything since the huge breakfast early that morning, and we were both famished. Mrs. Presley fixed us bacon and tomato sandwiches and hot coffee. Now, the bacon on Elvis's sandwich was burned to a crisp, just the way he liked it. Just the way I like it. I love burned bacon. Mrs. Presley asked if Elvis had taken good care of me, and I assured her that he had. "June took good care of me too, Mama, even on the airplane. It's the first time I've been flying that I wasn't scared to death." He gave me a squeeze. When Elvis was leaving Memphis the next day, and I wouldn't be seeing him for a while, I hugged Mrs. Presley goodbye and told her that she had good reasons to be proud of Elvis. He was a gentleman and very special to me. "I have a feeling I'll be seeing more of you, June." "I hope so," June said. You take care of yourself and have a safe trip home, Mrs. Presley told me, kissing me on my forehead. Elvis drove me back to the Holiday Inn, and we sat alone in the courtyard talking. Boy, her girlfriend must have been up there for a while. They flew out there to Houston, stayed the night. Got the car, I guess the next day, and then drove back. I guess just a couple days, right? Elvis drove me back to Holiday Inn, and we sat alone in the courtyard talking. I have to be in Hollywood the first week of June, but then I'm coming to Biloxi. I'll have some time to myself, and I want to spend it all with you, June. He kissed me tenderly. Well, that sounds wonderful to me. Call and let me know when you're coming so I can take off work, June said. I replied, knowing in my heart that being with Elvis was more important to me than any job. I will, baby. I love you, and I'm not going to let you get away. I'm not going anywhere, Elvis. I'll be there, I said, missing him already. Now, I couldn't help but thinking I might never see him again. I was about to cry, so I finally tore myself from his arms and ran to the room without stopping to look back. Beautiful book, and that's a beautiful chapter. You know, do y'all remember that feeling of young love? I do. You know, when you've not dated many people, one or two, and you're thinking and hoping maybe they're the one. Can you put yourself in June's shoes or anybody else's shoes with Elvis? Think about that. Think about knowing you're with somebody who all the girls want, or if you're a guy, all the girls want. Excuse me, all the guys want. I'm sorry. Pardon me. That was rude of me. But she had to, I don't know, she had to put up with a major insecurity. All the women did, including Priscilla, right? You know, I mean, I try to be fair with it, you know, because Priscilla was young too. But I remember Priscilla putting in a book that Elvis had told her, date, I want you to date, because I'm going to date when I'm in Hollywood. He told her to have a life in high school, and she did. But somehow that story has kind of gotten lost, and I don't hear that anymore. So, anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the reading of that, and I hope you're enjoying these interviews and all the other readings of the books. I'm going to continue all that, and try to get some sort of potentially a schedule for y'all, you know, so you know that, hey, there's going to be an episode of Elvis in June at 10 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, episode of Child Bride at 1 o'clock, an episode of, you know, From Here to the Greater North. See what I can do to try to get a little bit more of a schedule of the books, and then in between we'll have some of those interviews and stuff like that from the Elvis Presley past footage and stuff. So, TCB TLC, this is Rare Elvis Photos. Thank you so much for putting up with me, and have a wonderful day.